So does any of you know what causes a memory card error in a camera? I'm using a Canon G7X, it says on there. I don't know what fucking camera I use. But on here it says Canon G7X. I've been having this issue lately and it's been a big problem for me. I'll record a big video and then it'll say memory card error, it'll stop recording, and then the whole file I made is unusable. So I recorded 18 minutes of this vlog. Gotta do a take 2, I guess, but I'm gonna stop it after 10 minutes this time. And I reformatted the memory card, by the way, in case you're wondering. I did that twice. I did that when this issue first started happening and it was fine for a while, and now it's happening again today. So yeah, I'll stop after 10 minutes and then do 10-minute segments so that I don't lose 18 minutes like just happened. Anyway, hate that. Yeah, and my take 2 is not going to be as good as my take 1, unfortunately. But anyway, I watched the 2 episodes of Hazbin Hotel that were released today. Very weird. They were not what I was expecting in some ways that are good, in other ways that I don't care for. I will say the plot point revelations I'm totally down with. I love it when a show or a movie like plays with your expectations and does something totally risky and experimental and not what the fans were interested in or expecting. That's why I liked The Last Jedi, and a bunch of dumbass, nerdy, little fucking bitch boys complained about that movie. For no other reason than it played with their expectations and did something different from what they were expecting. Oh fucking Lord, is that a bad idea? That was the thing. They were making a whole meme about like, oh, subverting expectations, as if that's a bad thing. When, like, if you look at the ways that that movie subverted people's expectations, they actually kind of made sense, mostly from a writing standpoint, not all of them. It wasn't a perfect movie. There were a lot of flaws with it. But a lot of the ones that people complained about made perfect sense. Anyway, this take is going to be a lot more cynical than the last one, because I'm pretty angry about the fact that the previous take was destroyed, corrupted. Memory card error. Fuck you. Anyway, honestly, if anyone has any advice about that, I'd like to know. I reformatted it a long time ago, like 3 weeks or a month ago, so don't even ask me about that, okay? But yeah, so the thing is, I have a problem with, in these 2 episodes, Charlie. And that is kind of a weird thing. It's a bad feeling for me because I love Charlie so much, and I loved her character in season 1. I thought she was an excellent character, and one of the things I love about her is that she's not smart. She's kind of a dumb character. She's not smart like Alistair. But it takes a lot of skill and a lot of creativity to make a character who is not smart, but she's still so lovable and you get behind her so much, and she's not annoying. She's just this perfect mix where, yeah, she cusses, she's not like totally perfectly wholesome, she's the princess of hell. Like, that culture has obviously been infused in her to some degree. But she has this relentless optimism, and the relentlessness is key because that's something her dad doesn't have. Her dad is really kind of pessimistic and very lazy in a way that I think she resents in him. And so, yeah, the fact that she believes in it so much, even to a kind of dumb degree, like there's no way you can actually believe this works. Well, it turns out it actually works, and she was right, and that's wonderful. And she's just always on this uphill battle the whole way through, but you just gotta love it because she's just so dedicated to it, and she always sees the bright side. But that's one thing that I didn't like about the way they portrayed her in episode 3. And this episode 3, I think I had more of a problem with than episode 4, although I didn't really like Charlie in either of these 2 episodes. But episode 3 was really about Charlie more, whereas episode 4 was about Alistair. In episode 3, she just gets this big whinge. It's like, oh my god, my plan works. Serpentius is redeemed. He's in heaven. Holy shit. You would think Charlie, for this whole series, has been so able to see the bright side of things, has been so able to see where there's a good opportunity, and been unwilling to reject any opportunity, no matter how slim or feeble or bad it seems, which is why she makes contact with the V's in episode 4, which I thought was very in character for her. But what feels out of character for her is that she's freaking out so much. And she's freaking out about what the V's think about her, and what Vox Tech is saying about her, and what people are advertising about her on Zeppelins. Like, who gives a shit? You've lived in hell, according to Vivian, she's like 200 years old. You lived in hell for 200 years. I mean, shouldn't you know that this is what sinners do by this point? It just feels so dumb in not a likable way, in just kind of like a come on, what are you doing way, that she cares so much about what these sinners are saying about her on TV, when really she should be focusing now on the fact that actually she has a big victory in her pocket. Her plan works. Serpentius was redeemed. Where can she go from here? Fuck what the V's think. Fuck what the TV says about her. When people figure this out on their own, it'll really work out for her. But she's freaking out, and it's like, that feels so out of character for her, because it feels like she should be really excited, really happy, really optimistic and positive. Like, oh my god, we won. Let's see where we can take this. So yeah, I didn't care for that, and that is basically the whole episode of episode 3, is her just not getting it. Like, her just being oblivious to the fact that she's actually on top and she has power, and she seems to still think of herself as like struggling, and it's like, no, you won. This works. But then she's like, no, I still have to impress Vox. Who gives a fuck about Vox? Like, that should have been something that somebody brought. That should have been something of Vaggie. Like, think about the role that Vaggie plays. She should have been the voice of reason here, and she was, but not in the way she should have been. She should have been the voice of reason, being like, who needs these people? And she should have been convincing. You know? Charlie should have listened to her. Who needs these people? They're not going to give you an accurate portrayal, just like what happened to her in the pilot. And if you believe Vivian, the pilot is soft canon in that the events of the pilot did happen, which means she did have a live interview with Katie Killjoy. It did go poorly. She should know by that point that's a no-go. That if you, even a live television interview isn't going to get you anything good. Although it got her Alistair. Maybe that was good. But no, she barrels ahead with it anyway. And then episode 4 is like a retread of what happened in the pilot already. And if you believe that the pilot is soft canon, as Vivian said, this already happened and it already went poor for her, and it's like, oh, it's happening again, and guess what? It's going poorly for her. Oh my god, who could have predicted that? It's like she's not a smart character, and she's never been, which I like, but this is like too dumb for her, I feel. This is just like, what are you, your priorities are not even in the right spot. You don't even get it. So yeah, I love Charlie. She was my favorite character, or one of my favorite characters. I think Angel Dust was my favorite character in season 1. But Charlie was like my second favorite character. She has this really, it's almost Sorelian, her belief and the belief itself being able to be the thing that's powerful enough to manifest her goals and dreams. But yeah, no, these 2 episodes I just felt were a big step back for her. It's funny that in the thumbnail of the episode, it made it kind of seem like Angel Dust would be an important character in episode 3. He really wasn't. He was kind of a prop, and that felt kind of bad. Charlie just sort of using him in a way that just feels like even Charlie wouldn't be dumb enough to think that she can redeem this guy in a day intentionally when she's been trying to redeem them this whole time and it hasn't worked, and then Serpentius just accidentally gets redeemed. Like what is she thinking? And so it's just so frustrating. I found her so frustrating. And then I guess they're developing a thing between Angel Dust and Husk, which they've been talking about, of course, and I haven't been totally on board with it, but I've been sort of like, okay, we'll see how it happens. And then in this one, in episode 3, it was just kind of awkward. The whole, like, Husk being worried about Angel Dust and being like, why the fuck do you do that? You step in front of a moving train, blah, 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 blah. Like, okay, I get conceptually what they're going for with this, but it's not really working, I feel like. It's just a weird element then to mix into it, like also trying to create a romance between Angel Dust and Husk while all this other shit is going on, but then it being in the form of this argument that doesn't really fit in with the rest of the episode. It was just a weirdly written episode. By the way, stylistically, I have no complaints about either episode here, 3 or 4. I love the animation. I love the songs. I love the sound of the songs. I love, generally the style is perfect, as it always is. It's just that the writing is strange. However, the writing of the episode 4, I actually think was a step up from 3. Because when we're not focusing on Charlie, it's actually pretty interesting. So Rosie, I guess, owns Alistair's soul. The whole thing with Alistair is utterly fascinating in episode 4. And I like the fact that they surprised us. I, like most people, was thinking, okay, Lilith seems like the most likely candidate for owning Alistair's soul. She's been gone from hell for the same amount of time that Alistair has been missing from the radio. Like everyone thought Lilith was the one who owned Alistair's soul, but it's a big red herring. And I was wondering if they would make it a red herring, and they did, and that's fascinating, but it's like Rosie. So, but what we find out is that not only does Rosie own Alistair's soul, Rosie, a character we knew in season 1, but it was like, oh, I thought she was just a friend of Alistair. Turns out she's a lot more. She owns him. That's weird. That's surprising. That plays with your expectations in a way where it's like, okay, what are they building to here? And so, but then also him getting involved with Charlie is part of Rosie's plot. So what is Rosie trying to do? Is Rosie trying to find a pathway for sinners to get into heaven so that she can get into heaven? Is that why she's doing this? And then the other question is, why does Rosie have so much power that she is somehow able to grant Alistair this power? What kind of power does she have? Who is she? I didn't know that Rosie... I mean, I knew she was an overlord because she was in the fucking meeting. But I didn't know that she was like one of the most powerful overlords in hell. That's weird. What is going on there? I hope there's an explanation for you, because so far this Rosie thing is really strange. But yeah, apparently Alistair is involved with Charlie because of Rosie. And then his plot for getting out of this situation is making a deal with Vox in order to be Vox's prisoner, but since Rosie already owns him, he can't sell his soul to Vox, so he's not doing that. He's just Vox's prisoner. In exchange for Vox not harming Charlie, which is fair enough, because that makes sense with what Rosie has been making him do. But it just raises so many questions. And, you know, I think it's interesting. And we find out that apparently a lot of Alistair's power comes from his staff that was broken in episode 8. Nobody paid attention to that. Like the part where his staff gets broken by Adam and he's like, fuck. Nobody thought that was an important plot point, and apparently it is, and that's surprising. Like that was overlooked by every single person, I swear. I've been very active in that Reddit community before I was banned on Reddit. Nobody ever brought that up, to my recollection. So yeah, apparently his staff being broken limits his power, and you see that in the fight with the V's, which is a really cool, interesting fight between the Hazbin Hotel, who they don't even know that they're not really on the same side here, and the V's. And Alistair, one thing that it's interesting about this season is that they're making Alistair seem less threatening, less powerful. They're really challenging Alistair's sort of dominance, which I find compelling story-wise, although I do think that perhaps we could have done more in season 1 to set up his power beforehand, because we got a good setup in the pilot where Vaggie was telling the story of the radio demon, but we didn't see for ourselves much of that in season 1. We saw him eating a bunch of people, I think, in episode 5, but it could have been nice to have a little bit more context going into this. But it's still an interesting choice to see him being so disempowered, having these scars that he's stitching up and they're not healing, and he has this staff, and according to him, Rosie can solve these problems for him, but she's not doing it yet. For some reason, there's so many unanswered questions here. But you also get, confirmation of a lot of fan theories, like Alistair as a human looks the same as every concept fan art I've ever seen of Alistair as a human. It looks like him. That's weird. You get confirmation of the fact that Vox used to have a CRT head, which was a fan theory at one point. That's true, apparently. You get like you get confirmation that Alistair was mistaken for a deer when he was shot and killed by a hunter. That was a wild fan theory that I was like, really? You think? I mean, maybe. But they confirmed it, so I guess, yeah, the fans are right about a lot of stuff in this one. I just wasn't expecting that many the fan theories to be proven correct. But yeah, I really liked the stuff between Vox and Alistair. I liked seeing how we get a bit of backstory about Vox being a fan of Alistair, really admiring him, and Alistair rejecting him. And we knew that was the case before, but we get it in more explicit form this time, and we see even a bit of romantic tension, maybe, where Vox felt slighted because maybe he was romantically interested in Alistair, which I always suspected was the case, but that's interesting to see it a little bit hinted at more visually in the story. And you've got a really interesting number at the end where Alistair is imprisoned by Vox, and I still don't know how this is going to help his relationship with Rosie, how any of this is going to actually be to his advantage. But Alistair is imprisoned by Vox, and at the same time he has this power over Vox where he Vox tries to deprive him of his power by putting that frown over his face. Did you notice that? Because Alistair, an important part of his power is his smile. So Vox puts this artificial frown on him, and then he takes it off, and you see he's still smiling underneath that. He never lets that grin go. And Alistair is still able to really hold his own against him, but he's still in this compromised form. He's got the scars that won't heal. He's got the broken staff. He's clearly shown struggling against the V's, and there's a clear indication that he beat Vox at one point in a fight. And this time he didn't. He made a deal with Vox. So that's really all undermining the feeling of power that this character had before. And that's an interesting story choice for this. So I do like, even though there's a lot of unanswered questions, I do like the stuff they did with Alistair in this episode 4, really. I hope these questions get a satisfying conclusion at some point. It's just the Charlie stuff that was a little bit weird. I liked the songs. I have no complaint about the songs. Nifty. Okay, that was a big flex, doing 3 songs again. I thought it was already a big flex doing 2 songs per episode, which they did consistently in season 1. But now we've had 2 episodes in season 3 that had 3 songs. I thought episode 2 was a fluke. I didn't realize that they were going to do it again. Nifty having that weird throwaway song about her cleaning. It was funny, but it was just like weirdly out of place in the writing. And I liked how it shifted to Japanese. That made sense, but it was just like, it was just writing wise, it was strange. I liked the stylistic choices. The writing was weird.
I guess I'll take the opportunity now to bring up things that I said in my first take that I didn't get out the second time. Um, yeah, as far as the style being good, but the writing being weird. In the case of Charlie, like, I thought it was so cute. It was so freaking adorable. Her doing that like Dick Dastardly or Snidely Whiplash villain thing. Like, that made total sense to me stylistically. But like, from a writing point, I was like, come on, Charlie, what the hell are you doing? Like, this just felt so weirdly out of character for her to be so irresponsible in the way she was treating Angel in this situation, and how she viewed, like, she really should have taken Vaggy's warning about the V's more seriously. And then I don't even really get why Husk was so gung ho about it either. It was just such a weirdly written episode. And then, but to that episode's credit, I really think that the song between the Piss a Love Song, I guess, from my YouTube subscriptions, I guess that's what it was called, between Cherry Bomb and Serpentius. I think that was a really good song. It was probably the best song in these two episodes as far as its sound goes. Um, but at the same time, the lyrics were weird from a writing standpoint. That whole episode 3, was weird. It was stylistically perfect, but writing wise, it was so strange with Serpentius. I thought that by the end of episode 8 of season 1, he had really come to understand that he loved Cherry Bomb. And maybe Cherry Bomb doesn't understand that, but I feel like Serpentius did. But then he's like, "Oh, I loved fighting you. That was what I loved the most about it." And it was like, "Oh, okay. So is he still in the closet about it?" I feel like he isn't, but he's still reminiscing on that because that was the only connection they really had in death, in the afterlife. Cherry Bomb, I can believe being totally kind of in denial about it, but Serpentius, I feel like we went through an evolution with him already, and so it's weird seeing him being totally on the same page as Cherry Bomb. I feel like he should be more sincere about his love at this point. If we're gonna have a sort of a love duet ballad, he should be more sincere about it, more being like, "I love you, Cherry Bomb. It's just that when we were in death together, uh, we didn't get along on everything, and I loved fighting you at the time." I feel like that would be more in character. He could understand the poetry and the pageantry of fighting her, but not necessarily being so. I feel like there should have been more indications in the song that he understood his own love for her. But yeah, anyway, those are my two notes from the previous take that didn't make it into this one.
So it's, yeah, these last two episodes are a strange thing for me. I like a lot of them. I like a lot of the style of them. I like a lot of the ideas of them. I don't like everything about them. I'm hoping episodes 5 and 6 are a little bit more to my liking. But yeah, I have more I probably could say, but I think that's pretty much it for this vlog. Hope I don't get cheated out of a take again by my camera. That was weird. I'll keep it to 10 minutes. I'll keep it to 10 minutes now at this point. Or I don't know. The thing is, I don't know if it's my camera that's the problem, or if it's my memory card, or my memory card adapter, because it's a micro SD in a regular SD adapter. I don't know if that's an issue. I really have no idea. So I don't even know what actionable steps to take here, but we'll see.